Hey, welcome to Jaron Lukas Live. Thank you for joining me, those of you who are already with us. We are covering a topic today that is, I feel, probably one of the most important issues that are facing the world today. This show in general is all about how do we make our lives in the world better. I've been covering a lot of topics lately, more about, how do we start a company? How do we live a more free life ourselves? But I think unless we attack this issue that has only been getting worse, I don't really see that many people fighting for today. Things just aren't going to improve. So this week, I'm going to be doing a few videos about how do we fix the wealth gap. It's such a big problem, and I want to go straight into this article that I found in originally Bloomberg, but Bloomberg had too many ads on their website. I literally couldn't even show it here. So instead, we're going to be covering this article from the New York Magazine. And it says the world's 500 richest people increased their wealth by $1.2 trillion in 2019. Unbelievable. And of course, we have here a picture of the richest of them all, Jeff Bezos, future king of America and the universe. After he successfully goes to space, he'll just keep on dominating there. But, I'm not actually going to blame the billionaires themselves in this video. Instead, I'm going to be talking about what's happening behind the scenes that's actually causing this issue to keep getting worse. And I think, as many of you know who are watching this video, the 500 richest people in the world just made $1.2 trillion, but the middle class, the upper middle class, definitely the lower class, didn't see the same kind of wealth gain. So we're going into that now. And first, I want to actually go a little bit deeper into this article here, looking at this statistic that they included, which is the world's richest people actually increased their wealth by a staggering 25% last year. And I mean, I don't even know where to begin with that, because I don't see too many people who have actually made that kind of income increase last year. Let me know in the comments if you did. And by the way, this is a live show, so if you are watching live, hit me up in the chat, and I'd love to hear what you say, and I'll definitely reply. So, and by the way, if you are catching a non-live stream version of this, make sure you subscribe so that you get notifications. Hit that notification button. You'll be notified anytime I'm going live. And my goal on this channel in 2020, this new year we're in, is to focus 100% on live stream, talk about issues that are interesting to you, and the best way to get to be part of the conversation is to hit me up while we are live streaming. So moving on, this 25% brought the 500 richest people's total wealth to 5.9 trillion. Absolutely crazy. And I found there are a couple of other articles that I started diving into with these stats. This one right here is pretty interesting. It's really just highlighting the fact that, and of course we see Taylor Swift in the corner here earning 185 million. That's pretty crazy. First we look at the chart on the left, and the chart on the left is basically showing a trend. First off, you can barely see a red kind of section at the bottom. That is the net worth by the bottom 50% of people. Now, let's be clear here. Capitalism works in a certain way where it's bringing up the wealth of all, or the kind of well-being of all, mostly. We're going to go deeper into that later, and how the bottom 50% are actually getting truly fucked. But, generally speaking, we're seeing this continuing trend of just more and more wealth accumulating to the top. This has been going on mostly since 1990. Although you can see during the recession what happened there. And make sure that if you haven't subscribed, you do so already, because another video that I'm going to be doing this week is talking about how an adjustment to our interest rate actually may fix a big part of the problem that I'm talking about today. And if you're watching this video live right now, go ahead and give it a like, or even if you're not watching it live, go ahead and give it a like too. If you like the color blue, that's what happens when you click the like button. And it also helps me with YouTube's algorithm so that we get more people tuning into this show live. So, moving on, let's go back to this original New York Magazine article. One of the stats that I found today, and maybe this is from the New York Times article, I don't know, I opened a lot of articles in researching this topic today, but the top 3 richest men in the world, as told by Forbes magazine, had the same amount of wealth as the bottom 50%. That's just crazy. And what's been happening, which you may already know if you're watching this live, and generally I'm talking about anyone who's tuning into an issue like this is probably pretty smart to begin with and pays attention to this stuff. But what has really been happening behind the scenes is that there have been a combination of low interest rates and tax decreases, both of which have only redistributed more wealth to the rich. At the same time, we've seen rising prices, rising real estate. That's really because lending is also only going to the wealthy. So what we're seeing is more and more people with more and more means acquire all the assets, because those are really the only people that banks want to lend to. They're kind of like the safest credit in their eyes. And what that does is it pushes prices up really of everything, of land, of buildings. So think about that right there. If you push a building price up, it causes your living expenses to go up for rent or your house. If you are pushing up land, that's going to affect the price of food. So all of these things, and natural resources, literally everything is going up in price over the last 5-10 years because of our banking policies, our low interest rates, and it's pretty bad. It's also not sustainable. So that's something too that I think we're starting to hear more and more people talk about. But I feel like I'm really one of the only few people out there who are really talking to my friends about how bad things might actually get. Like, if we don't stop this problem, it could cause people to actually revolt. It could cause a much wider breakdown of our government and society. And, looking at what happened today, even, with the White House making orders to send missiles into Iran 2 days in a row. Iran actually, this is a kind of a side topic off of this real quick, but I think it's really important. Iran, China, and Russia all just met a week or two ago to discuss basically like working together more closely. It was kind of just a reunion of their leaders. But if we're attacking one of those 3 countries and their allies are now Russia and China, we need to look at what also might be happening on like a much wider scale. We can also go into that much deeper in a later video, because that honestly is a whole topic of its own, which we'll do on this channel, because I'm going to be covering more of these topics like this, which is really about, I think where the channel's going is just how do we make the world better. And I'm going to be going into some of the analysis that I've been doing. Really, I've been kind of obsessive about learning about economics and researching it and tracking it ever since college. And so really just applying a lot of those learnings that I've had into what I'm seeing today. So hopefully this is helpful to you, and go ahead and click that like button if you like these topics. So, moving on, like I was saying, we have banking policies that are causing assets to rise in price in an unsustainable way. We have taxes that cut, of course, the corporate tax. All of this was done to help companies reinvest into more labor and stuff like that. Of course, that's all BS, and it all went to shareholders. So if you owned assets of any kind, stocks we haven't even gotten to yet, real estate, minerals, land, literally any asset that you could possibly own, that has been supported through various governmental mechanisms, including interest rates primarily. Interest rates are just the biggest ones, because let's also dig a little deeper into that stock issue. Looking at stocks. First off, many of these articles I was researching today talk about how only 50% of Americans even own stocks. So right there, and I don't think that stat is going to be too surprising to any of you watching this. And by the way, okay, we have Goran Dragovic who asks, scammer. Goran, I don't know what you mean by that necessarily. Are you the scammer? You're asking me if you're a scammer? I don't know. You're going to have to give me more info there. And we have Eric Paniagua. Eric Paniagua. And you say, what's up, Jaron? What's up, Eric? Let me know what you think about these topics and what you would like to see happen in terms of changes that the government should make to resolve them. Would love to hear your thoughts. So going deeper into what's been happening here is with kind of the bank support of corporations and their stockholders, we've seen rising stock prices. Of course, that's like surprisingly still happening even this week. The stock market keeps going up and up. No, it's not because the stock market loves Trump. It's because of central banking policy. And I actually a while ago did a video on that topic, looking at how did the central bank come to be, and how does it affect kind of like our real life, because that's exactly what's happening right now. And unfortunately, we're just seeing this rise of extreme wealth, 1.2 trillion added last year. And my question to you is, do you want this to continue? I think if you're watching this video, the answer is probably no. So I'd love to hear from you, and make sure you like this video too. So, what's crazy here is that, we look at like the top 3 people and their wealth is the same as the bottom 50%. It's only adding. The real cure here, if we actually want to solve this problem, the way I see it, is that interest rates have to go up. Now, if that happens, the central bank, the Fed says, okay, we're going to raise interest rates to 5%, like where we saw them in the 90s. Quit this game of just like it's kind of like when you have a hangover and you drink more to make it go away, but then it comes back the next day and the next day. Like, we're pretty much addicted to low interest rates right now. And the solution is going to be, it's not even like a choice. It's just a matter of when. Like, this whole game that the government has been playing with low interest rates will have to come to an end at some point. The longer we wait, the worse it'll get. And I'm not even convinced that the government has any plans to do something about it anytime soon. So we actually could theoretically see a continuation of this huge wealth gap growing, 1.2 trillion growing, 1.5 trillion next year, 2 trillion the following next year. We could see a continual rise in kind of like the favoritism towards the 500 people at the top, all at the expense of others. And the thing is that the solution I'm about to tell you is going to hurt. It's going to hurt everyone. And yet it's inevitable. And so I think this is the reason why we haven't heard a lot of people come to the support of raising interest rates. Because what happens when you raise interest rates, and this is basic economic theory and proven through many, many studies, is that when you raise interest rates, asset prices fall. And when you have, it happens in sort of an exponential way. So when your interest rates are near zero, going from 0 to 5% is really drastic. It means that the 1.2 trillion that was earned by people this year, and again, their total wealth is now at 5.9 trillion, which is just crazy. Like 25% increase in 1 year. I mean, that triggers me. But the fact is that if we were going from 0 to 5%, like this number, 5.9 trillion, will probably fall to 2 or below. So when you look at how wealth equality plays out with that, what starts to happen? Asset prices come down. That hurts everyone in a way because, of course, the people at the top are going to lose nominally the most. They're still going to have the most likely. There's always, when you have these big recessions or these big changes in interest rates, there's always a redistribution first to people with cash. So the people who lose out are the people who are highly levered, the people who don't have cash income in that kind of scenario. So first, there's always just a redistribution among the top. But the fact is that with a rebalancing of all prices, it means that life is going to become more affordable for everyone. And let's just look 3 years after any sort of kind of economic event going from 0 to 5% interest rates. What happens, and I'm going to real quick read what Eric had to write here. I think it's all very complex, but I also don't think QE is the right thing for the Federal Reserve to do as far as long-term effects. Yeah, I 100% agree with you, man. And I think that you're really summarizing the point that I'm trying to make here. It's really this QE that the Fed is addicted to. And they keep doing it and they keep doing it. And this last QE that we've seen over kind of the last 10 years is where they actually started to bring stocks. They started buying stocks. And that was one of the two major reasons why stocks started going really high. And of course, like, we're talking about here, who owns the stocks? It's the top 500 really. And so it's just really more government policy pushing prices up and up and up and favoring a very small subsect of Americans, which in turn, by the way, like when stocks go up, maybe they sell a little, then they go and buy the land like we were talking about. And this whole cycle happens where prices of every asset in society goes up. And Eric just said also, I feel it distorts the people at the top's reality. Wow. Making them feel like they're untouchable. I ask myself this a lot. It's actually something I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. It's something that I've been asking and watching a lot of videos on. I've been watching more and more interviews of just like billionaires, but in a more casual setting, really trying to understand their mentality. And one of the things I do here is I actually listen to them and then I repeat what they said, just either out loud or in my mind. To kind of like really bring it in, try to understand their emotions. And one thing I have come to the conclusion of is every billionaire I've analyzed, I've studied at this point, they're hyper competitive. And they're hyper competitive about money, and there isn't a whole lot of thought in terms of kind of like what's my life about, or what's balance, what is my greater purpose in making things better. Of course I think there are certain billionaires out there like Elon Musk who are trying to improve the world, trying to save and protect humanity, but by and large, like I don't dislike this guy at all. I actually think he's pretty interesting, but one billionaire who comes to mind is Tillman Fertitta, and I've watched a few interviews he did, and his whole thing is really just about the sport of owning more, the sport of controlling more, and I think that really, like you're saying, Eric, that type of mentality, it starts to distort itself at some point too. So I totally agree with you, man. That's what I have to say. But, even going further, the question is, I think, going to be interesting is what happens when interest rates rise, when asset prices falls. Again, this isn't this isn't something that might happen. It's something that's going to happen within the next 10 years. So at that point, and I'm for the fact, even though it's probably going to cause a lot of unemployment for a period, it's going to cause everyone's assets to fall. It's going to cause hard times for everyone. It is at the same time going to set the foundation for more equality, for something where, you know, a normal family doesn't have to have two people working just to make a low six-figure salary in the US. I speak from a purely like upper middle class standpoint in saying that to begin with, because there are many people in the world who are living on $1 a day. So that's really, I think, the solution that I see here. I would love to hear in the comments if you think there are any other solutions that may be less drastic, less painful for everyone, because I think the big side effect of what I'm not even proposing, what I'm just saying will happen, is with interest rates going up, it will eventually, at first, it'll cause a year or two of pain for everyone, but after that, things should remain more steady with life, I think, coming back to maybe more how it was in the 90s, more prosperity all around. Eric, before we go, I'm going to read what you just said, which is, I think it's all about creating who you want to be. Instead of trying to find yourself, you must create yourself. Damn, that is deep. I totally agree with you here. And really, this is I think this is something I've been learning on my journey as well, is we all are at first trying, I think many of us at first are allowing other people to define us, or we're taking what we've heard we should strive for. Because like with me growing up with parents who kind of told me, like, you should go strive to be something that makes a lot of money and is very prestigious. So that's something that I've really had to reassess in my own life. I'm curious what it might have been for you, given that you just gave me this brilliant knowledge here. But I think, you know, for me, it's really been a journey of going from taking who it is I thought I was supposed to be, then actually trying to find myself, as you mentioned here, and then starting to realize, like, I need to proactively figure out what I want to be and creating myself. So yeah, that is straight up law of attraction 101. I respect that comment. So Eric, in particular, really appreciate you chatting so much with me today. Hit me up in the comments and let me know any other topics you think might be interesting, since you and I are clearly kind of on the same page here. And appreciate you tuning into the live stream. For those of you at home who are watching this on the replay, make sure you subscribe, give this a like, but definitely make sure you subscribe and click the notification button, because that will let you know when I do more live streams. And my goal this year, my first goal, is to get to 100 people watching this live. And I'm trying to do that by June 1st. So 100 people live by June 1st is the goal. Let's do this. Get your friends to watch, and maybe we'll even run a little contest here to make that happen. And really, as you're seeing with this channel, we're moving from that kind of more prepared video setup into something that I'm finding more fun, which is live, having chats like I did today with Eric. Thank you again, Eric, for livening up the conversation, and also really covering more topics about living a happier life, more prosperous life, and making the world just a better, more fair place. And that's what our topic today was really all about. So thank you all for joining, and until the next stream on Monday, because I'm going to be taking Sunday off. Really, today's a special episode because I'm only doing live streams Monday through Thursday, but I just couldn't help myself today. So thanks for tuning in, and